Today, Christopher Cox is joined by Dee Dee Adams, Councilwoman in the City of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. She is also Community Development, Housing, and General Government Committee Chair. Later, Christopher is joined by Marc Morial, CEO of the National Urban League. Let's get started. Real E-Savvy is brought to you by Exit Realty of the Carolinas and the Greensboro Law Center.
What if you really could have it all?
At Exit Realty,
We believe in making dreams
come true.
We believe
We believe the home you want
is right there.
is right there.
And we'll help you find it.
Thoroughly trained, passionately committed
and always on your side.
You can count on us.
every step of the way. And you thought we just sold real estate.
We are Exit Realty.
Think smart.
Think Exit.
This is Drew Brown, an attorney at the Greensboro Law Center. We represent over 1,000 North Carolinians who have gone to Virginia and South Carolina and taken out high-interest car title loans. We contend that these loans are illegal if given to North Carolina residents. They violate our usury statutes, and really the people of North Carolina are the victims. We've had success working some of the cases out, and if you hire us, you can do so on a contingency fee, which means you don't only have to pay us out of the money we get back for you. Give us a call, 336-478-6000. That's 478-6000, the Greensboro Law Center. Thank you.
Welcome to Really Savvy. Today I have a great guest. Everybody knows Dee Dee Adams, City Council.
Hi, everybody.
City Councilwoman here in Winston that's really been in front of everybody during the last election cycle. And I've asked you here today in your new role as the committee chair, and I'll remember the community development part so you can say the rest.
Housing and General Government.
Okay, so that you're now the chairperson.
I'm the chair of Community Development, Housing, and General Government. I was vice chair before Representative Montgomery left, or past Councilmember Montgomery. He was the chair, and that's I ascended to the chair position.
Okay, so in that role with that committee for the City of Winston-Salem, what is your main objectives and what do you handle with that committee?
That committee is, I would consider, one of the largest committees of the city outside of the Finance Committee. Community development, anything got to do with the grants and the resources that come from Washington, the federal level and the state level and the county level, that helps with business development, infrastructure development in the communities or the City of Winston-Salem. Anything like parks, recs, all of that has to come through the General Government Committee. Ordinances, planning, zoning changes, economic development, housing, affordable housing partnerships that we put together with public-private partnerships. General Government basically is a large committee that a lot of things go under that one umbrella for the City of Winston-Salem.
So, under that large umbrella, what are your personal priorities now that you've assumed chair of the committee?
Affordable housing.
Okay.
Of course, economic development for the urban core, which I always call the urban core the African American communities, or the communities where the, yes, Latino, Hispanics, African Americans, and poor whites live. Those areas are the blighted areas of the city that have gone for so long without the injection of economic stability that the other four wards, we have 8 wards, the other 4 wards of the city, and the other four wards fall on that divider line of the 5240 cut.
Okay.
Affordable housing, we need to build at least 14 to 15,000 units very quickly over the next 5 to 10 years. We are suffering like other cities in the country. We have not kept up with the affordable housing bills for working class people, people whose income is less than 80%, 60%, 70% of median. Everybody deserves a decent place to live, an affordable place to live. You know, it creates community, and that's my big thing.
Yeah, I had Larry Woods on a previous show from the Housing Authority of Winston-Salem, and he talked about that there was a need for even Section 8.
Correct. All kinds of housing. When people hear affordable housing, they automatically think of public housing. Well, that's not it. Affordable housing takes the shape of many things, such as Section 8, such as other type vouchers, such as workforce housing.
The housing in an affordable price range.
An affordable price range that people that make $20,000, $15,000 a year. Think of that. Mm-hmm. They need to have somewhere to live, that they need to be able to pay 25% or 30% of their income to live there.
Right, so if the banks come up with the CRA lending products to loan people money to buy the houses and the inventory doesn't exist.
Correct, and that's another whole subject together, the Community Reinvestment Act. We need, right now where we are in this country and even in the city, we need other people to step up, other partnerships to step up, other initiatives in order to make this happen. And I'm not talking about let's get this done 2 or 3 years down the road. As soon as this year, within the next 6 to 12 months, we need to be developing housing on an ongoing basis. The City Council has developed a housing initiative commission, affordable housing, which has a lot of stakeholders on it, who their major expertise, a lot of them has been housing and collaborative partnerships, nonprofits in the community. So we're looking forward to working with them. We're also looking at, we need to have a fund, a housing fund, and we do, but we need to figure out how do we keep, the funds coming in, the money, so we can build houses. We have it, but the city has not developed, like a lot of cities, a revenue source or stream to fund that fund for housing.
So you're talking with regard to the City of Winston-Salem being a developer.
Yeah. Well, yes, a partnership in a developer. We don't do that very well. We do sewer, water, parks, sanitation, streets, sidewalks, fire, public safety. We partner. We're like a go-between, a pass-through for the funds from the federal government, the state, the county, and public-private partnerships. The city is the person that facilitates that process.
So let me put it, let's try to get it really, help me help you, make it understandable. So how does that translate to an individual person or an individual investor, potentially? A
potential investor needs to get with our community development department and see what resources we have available, home funds, housing tax, low-income housing tax credits through the state. We have various different funding sources that if developers come and talk to us, and they do, they want to do a housing complex or build some houses or apartments or condos, then we help them put the package together. We work with them, their lending sources, banks, whatever, and we make it happen. Much like out on the north side of town, we have the Enclave. Mm-hmm. On Shadowline and Bethania Road, Station Road. The name of the company was the Valentine Group out of Ohio. They came to see me in 2009, right after I got elected. And they wanted, that property was supposed to be condos, and it went belly up with the housing market recession. They wanted to develop a partnership with us, and we talked, and our folks got with their folks, and they got with the state and the county. And now we are now working on Enclave 2. Enclave 1 has 68 units. Nice, 2-car garages, affordable. And what happened was we have a waiting list. We've had a waiting list since the things were built. Hundreds of people. So we went into another collaborative partnership with them to build Enclave 2. Mm-hmm. And we're now building 96 more units right next door to it. But I tell anybody, please, if you want to, go take a look at this. It is what affordable and community housing should look like in a community. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Organization-wide or church community that has these buildings that are older and need care. They need upgrades, roofs, heating systems. Is that when you talk about public-private, And I said, you know, how
Yes.
does it affect a person?
Yeah.
Is there potential for that to?
There's
also-
potential for nonprofits. Nonprofits are the partnerships too. Nonprofits, public-private. They come in, and if let's say a church group is a nonprofit and they have a nonprofit or a CDC, Community Development Corporation, they can come in and say, you know, we got this property over here, we bought this and we want to rehab them. There is money for that as well, that the city will work with you to make happen for you.
This is the biggest question, because whenever I bring it up and I'm in meetings, man, nobody has time to wait for that. It'll be years. In that kind of scenario.
The city is changing just like a business. And when I came on board in '09, because I did 40 years of manufacturing, corporate type America jobs, whereas there were missions, objectives, goals, expectations, results oriented, smart statements. And when I came on board, I said, this is gonna get better. And talking to the city manager and staff, I told them, I know you guys don't like change, but you're gonna have to change this. You're gonna have to start running this more like a business versus just it's government, it's slow. No, and we're constantly working, Chris, every day to make this better. I would venture to say that if anyone does business with the city and it's not being done, the first thing you ask for is the timeline. Can I have a handout or email me the timeline if I come to you and want to do a development or rehab or a partnership? Once you get the timeline and you start your paperwork, whatever that day is, if it's not proceeding and we have staff members that are supposed to monitor this and move it, because there's a timeline that these things have to get done. We just brought on some new staff, very happy with them. They're go-getters. They get stuff done. They think like me. Let's get this ball moving.
Okay. So if it's, and I have a project in mind. I'm talking to y'all. You know, I'm talking
He's
to
giving full disclosure. That's what we call it, people. Full disclosure.
So if it's, say it's a roof, say it's the building has upgrades like heating system, roof, grading, and that's not a huge project in the grand scheme of things. It's a small project. Is that a 6-month timeline, a 3-month timeline?
I have no idea because it depends. Again, you got to have inspectors that come in. You have to have the people that come in that from the city, the government side, to inspect, to basically ensure that we're protecting the resources of the taxpayers of the city. Then you got to work with zoning. Then you got to work with engineers. You have to get all of this together to see, okay, this property, is this safe ground you're building on and getting ready to disturb?
Right.
You can't just
environmental studies.
Environmental studies. You can't just come in now and turn over soil and put something anymore. The world doesn't work like that anymore. But depending on the size of your project or the scope of work that you're trying to do, we will move this as fast as you can. But you always should get out of jail card. Is you call your city council member or a city council member, and you tell us what seems to be going on. And I've been working with you all for 6 months, and I was under the impression, for example, they told me this is a 3-month deal. They haven't told me that there were any issues, and I don't understand why it's taking so long. That's where you exercise your right to call a city council member.
Okay.
And we get the ball rolling. And then we go investigate.
Okay. I'll get past that. But I don't know if I'm necessarily getting past it. Last week, we were at a brunch together, and they had the conversation about the opportunity zones. Has that hit the ground in Winston-Salem yet?
The opportunity zones has not hit the ground anywhere in the United States. As you know, that was part of the present executive person in the White House, President Trump. That was part of that $1 trillion tax package that he passed. This was seen as a way of helping again blighted and economically deprived communities that have suffered and are still suffering, to do an injection of cash and resources. Can't do anything without resources. Everybody knows that. Money. So the government, the federal government, has not even written the rules.
Okay. I thought it was happening now.
No. And then you have the states who are writing rules.
Okay.
So we have to wait now to see where it goes. So right now we're all in a holding pattern of education and knowledge, of learning as much as we can about what is the intent of the opportunity zones, how did they get picked, the governors and cities picked, mayors, councils picked opportunity zones.
Oh, so they've already been established where they'll be.
Everywhere in the United States, they've already been established.
Big transformations in Winston. With all the committees and everything you're talking about, I would be remiss if I did not talk about Business 40 and all of the change that's going on there. Is it too much, too fast? How's it coming?
You know what I'm going to say? Hell no. No, everybody again has to understand the way the world and government and transformation works is if we all, and I'm going to take it back to square one for me, what it means to me, if we all turned out and voted for people that have track records for getting things done, that comes from the federal level all the way down, then these projects would move faster. If we had an infrastructure bill, much like the New Deal was back when Franklin Delano Roosevelt was president, to get our economy going, to get people to work, he created the middle class with that. Mm-hmm. That would have been done a long time ago. But see, what you had was, you had I call it a system of people that didn't really want Winston to be any bigger and better than what it is. I mean, that's my perspective, and I can say that because I was born and raised in this town.
You just said something that made me think about another part of your conversation at the brunch. BB&T,
My point exactly. If you've lived as long as I have in this city, and you've seen the big name corporations leave us and go other places or close down, you gotta wonder, and I know some people, I'm not a conspiracy theory person, but I just look at things for what they are, for what it means to me. This is not the city's view, this is D.D. Adams' view. When a business closes and we can say, well, it's gonna bring more jobs, show me the jobs. Again, you gotta give me results. You can't talk the talk that BB&T closed, Wells Fargo left us, Wachovia, Piedmont Airlines, U.S. Air, Western Electric, all this stuff, Reynolds, and I'm supposed to think that it's okay. I say all hands on deck. I still believe that this state, and everybody now wants to talk about it, but they're still not moving fast enough. We don't do a very good job of training people to be ready for work ready. For the jobs that are coming at us, not the jobs that are now, for the jobs that's 5, 10 years, 20 years down the road. We have not gotten people in our city ready for these technology jobs, even in micro manufacturing, even in ecosystem type jobs, sustainable jobs.
And they're here because they're building a whole portion of the city dedicated to it.
I know. And when you mentioned Business 40, I was one of the proponents that supported the 2-year shutdown. I drove to my job in Kernersville, John's Controls, for 5 years or more on 40 when the bridge had to be raised over Salem Lake. 1 lane in each direction. 1 lane every day, 5 years. And I said to myself then, this is before I ran for office, if I ever have a chance to give input on when this should be done, help people to understand, get it done quicker, take the hit, bite the bullet. 2 years is not going to make or break us. We're ahead of schedule, they say. If the weather just acts right, and that's a whole nother story, global warming and climate change, we're going to be finished with this deal and it'll be okay. It's got to be done. It should have been done years ago. It's much like our rails, transportation. How did we, the leaders in this community, back in the 60s and 70s, allow our train route and the rails to be removed from Winston-Salem? I rode the train this past weekend to D.C. for the Democratic National Committee thing I belong to for North Carolina. Every small city in North Carolina has trains that run and take you somewhere but Winston-Salem. There is nowhere in North Carolina, a city this size, Burlington, High Point, Greensboro, Charlotte, Durham, Raleigh, Rocky Mount, Salisbury, you name it. they have a train rail that comes through to pick up people and take them to New Orleans, Florida.
Have been coming from Pennsylvania. It does seem a little odd because we have the Amtrak.
An infrastructure bill would do this and help us to get these projects done much, much faster. But the one thing that I would tell people that, you know, I'm always asking, and I'm going to DC for the City of Winston-Salem in a couple of weeks with the municipal elected council members go to Washington to lobby and discuss our concerns. Our federal advocates that y'all call lobbyists, we call them federal advocates now, they will tell you that I'm always talking about our transportation situation here in Winston-Salem. We are cut off from the rail system that they're going to put in from Raleigh to Charlotte. It's going to pass us by. How did this all happen like this? And how come it's still happening? So I want people to understand you need to be talking to your elected senators, U.S. senators, Senator Tillis and Burr, and your Congresswoman, Representative Fox and others in the state, Representative Adams and anybody else, to help them to understand that Winston-Salem, we will never grow at the rate, to me, that we want to grow unless we fix the transportation issue, highways and rail, unless we also get our folks work ready with collaborative interns and partnerships with teaching people a skill as early as 12 years old in school, along with liberal arts and other educational requirements.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you for making my audience real East Side.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
All
you
right.
for letting me be here. And all I can tell people too is get engaged, y'all. You know, we're not perfect. We don't profess to know how to do everything. And I know, you know, sometimes, you know, you all think that, well, they're not doing their job. Well, come get engaged with these meetings. Send us an email. Go to the city's website, City of Winston-Salem. You know, let's hear from you to help us be able to be better.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great to be with you today.
Thank you, CEO of the National Urban League, Marc Morial. It's been running all day.
We've been running all day. We were in Winston-Salem, now we're in Greensboro. It's my
Yes,
North
sir.
Carolina day.
Yes, sir. And that's an honor and a privilege to be doing this conversation.
Yeah.
I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
But the National Urban League, for really savvy, the National Urban League does the state of black housing for the country.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for taking a moment to talk to me about that.
So we do, within the state of Black America, we look at housing disparities. And candidly, we have lost ground. Black people have lost a substantial measure of the home ownership that we gained. The home ownership rate in Black America is now at around 41 or so percent. That's about where it was in 1976. Because of the recession, because of predatory lending, because of discriminatory practices, we lost 40 years of progress. And we've got to be determined to rebuild home ownership and thereby rebuild wealth in our communities. Secondly, what our research, our findings, our work shows is that too many people are paying as much as 50% of their income in rent. Rents have exploded across the nation in post-recession America. So on one hand, this is a double-edged sword. People cannot afford to become homeowners like before. And secondly, rents are extremely high. So the housing challenges we face are pushing people into poverty.
And that's a non-racial identifying issue. That's what Martin Luther King said right before he was assassinated. That was
It's an issue which affects white America, brown America, black America, Asians. It affects all people. It disproportionately affects black America. But low and moderate income people of all races are facing extreme financial pressures when it comes to their ability to achieve the American dream. which is one, to own a home, or secondly, to have a quality roof that they can afford over their head.
You said something earlier at the brunch, and you talked about the opportunity zones that U.S. Senator Tim Scott. How do you see that playing
the
into
Opportunity Zone program, which was a Scott Booker, Tim Scott, and Cory Booker bill that Senator Scott really pushed into the tax bill, is a bill that has great opportunities for urban communities. However, there need to be some guardrails, there need to be some protections to ensure that it does not become a tool of removal and gentrification. I think what it requires is community leaders, mayors, city council members to legislate conditions on which they're going to permit projects or give zoning approvals to projects that use Opportunity Zone funding to ensure that affordable housing is built as a component, to ensure that minority and women-owned businesses have a chance to participate, to ensure that people in the community have an opportunity for the jobs that are going to be created, not only to construct new projects, but also to operate new businesses that may be located in these new structures. We got to see it as an opportunity, but I see green lights and yellow lights. The yellow light says caution. We've got to ensure, we've got to put protections in place, and mayors and city council members and county commissioners and others and community leaders, don't wait for Congress. Take steps locally to set, because you want the investment, but to make sure that the protections are in place.
I know you have to go. You're a busy man. Thanks for making my audience real East Savvy.
My pleasure.
All right. Thanks.
Good. And keep your eyes open for the May release of the 2019 version of the State of Black America.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
What if you really could have it all?
At Exit Realty,
We believe in making dreams
come true.
We believe
We believe the home you want
is right there.
is right there.
And we'll help you find it.
Thoroughly trained, passionately committed
And always on your side.
you can count on us.
every step of the way. And you thought we just sold real estate?
We are Exit Realty. Think smart.
Think Exit.
This is Drew Brown, an attorney at the Greensboro Law Center. We represent over 1,000 North Carolinians who have gone to Virginia and South Carolina and taken out high-interest car title loans. We contend that these loans are illegal if given to North Carolina residents. They violate our usury statutes, and really the people of North Carolina are the victims. We've had success working some of the cases out, and if you hire us, you can do so on a contingency fee, which means you don't only have to pay us out of the money we get back for you. Give us a call, 336-478-6000. That's 478-6000, the Greensboro Law Center. Thank you.
RealESavvy.com has resources to help you become more informed about home ownership. Visit the website and stay tuned for the next Real eSavvy radio broadcast with Christopher Cox every fourth Sunday at 9 a.m. Real eSavvy Radio is a production of RealESavvy.com and is produced through the facilities of Southern Broadcast Media, LLC. Real eSavvy is brought to you by Exit Realty of the Carolinas and the Greensboro Law Center.